Joan's estate was as lively as it could get tonight, filled with men dressed up in suits and women engulfed in silk and diamonds. Laughter echoed through the hall as Jungkook stood at the center, glass of whiskey in his hand. It was just like any other day in his mansion. Men tried to please him to secure a good deal, while women in glittering dresses surrounded him like moths to a flame. It didn't matter. None of them entertained him enough. Yet, as a formality, he needed to arrange these events to showcase his power. Someone was missing. His wife. Half of him was annoyed of her, and the other half found her interesting. The wife he never asked for, the woman who now lived under his roof, wearing his ring, in his bed, but forcefully. It was a forced marriage for both of them. Jungkook sipped his drink slowly, bored of the party he himself allowed, until his eyes drifted to the entrance and entered a woman who was completely out of the place. No silk or diamonds adorned her body, yet she wore something that ignited a fire in him. Wounds, fresh wounds. A cut on her cheek which was bleeding, a busted lip, and injured hands. His wife had been touched. It didn't surprise her much that her husband was holding an event. She was used to it, so she simply ignored everything and turned. She didn't belong to those parties anyways. She never liked them. To her, it was noise, fake smiles, and backstabbers. She did not belong here. She turned towards the stairs to disappear in her room until his voice boomed through the mansion. Jigga, Wyan, he called, not loud but demanding, a kind of voice that made the whole house shut up. Wyan turned, everyone had their eyes on her broken self now, but it didn't matter to her. JK, who did that? He asked. Each word came out slow, with such stress as he walked up to her. Wyan, doesn't matter. Jungkook held her jaw looking at the wounds. JK, who touched you? Wyan. Wyan, it has nothing to do with you. JK, it has. No one touches what's mine and live to tell about it. Wyan moved back. She moved his hand off her cheek. Was that it? Was that all about their relationship? First it was forced and now he wanted to claim her like she was a thing. Wyan, I told you. It has nothing to do with you. Go back and enjoy your parties, Jungkook. Her eyes, they looked dead, bored. None of it entertained her. She didn't belong here. She wanted to sleep and probably never wake up. She was tired. Jungkook was not the type to take a no as an answer. Climbed a step, grabbed her neck, and took her lips in between his. It was a rough and possessive claim, but he stayed there. Didn't move his lips, nor she pushed him away. She could see or hear nothing. neither the gasp that left the crowd nor the sound of crazy heartbeat. When he pulled back, his eyes still held the fire they did before. He raised a hand, flicked his fingers, and Minjun was already at his position. Minjun, sir, JK, I want a detail behind this act. Those people who were involved in it. Minjun left and Vine seemed clearly annoyed before she marched back to her room and slammed the door shut. Vine, yeah, of course you will be mad. Someone touched your thing. Take your revenge, throw it back in a corner. That's who you are, John. That's all you are. Mine was not in condition to bother her anymore. She fell on the bed and slept. She was forced by her parents to marry in the name of a business. The problem was, she was getting married to a man who himself had no plans of marrying either. It was forced. Her life turned hell. She continued her college because that was her only escape from this suffocating atmosphere at home. Business, violence, like a storm ready to explode any moment. She had to be on her toes every damn second. And her husband? He never talked to her unless it was necessary. And even then, it was either a command from him or a demand for his desires. Mine didn't mind the second one. She had the desires of her own, and he was good in bed. But rest? He was an untouchable man. Even his wife couldn't reach him. But now, recently, some guys in her college started picking up on her. That one only escape of her became suffocating too. She wanted rest. She was tired. There was no escape for her. A few hours passed by, and Jungkook entered the room while had his back at him. Like every time, she didn't want to talk to him. He removed his watch, knowing well she was awake. She just needed to stop pretending. Ziggy, get up. Let me treat your wounds. All he received was silence in reply. Ziggy, you'll get infection. Once again, nothing. Her reaction was somehow valid. Jungkook agreed. There was no way he was suddenly acting like he cared. She was right about him after all. It truly was the night of his wedding, and didn't admire her presence much either. Never cared when she went, or what she did. He had his own work to focus on. Jiggy, you're not that weak. You don't have to let them hurt you. Wine, you think I'll let them do that? That shows how little you know about me. She's past leaving him wondering how little he truly knew about his own wife. Jungkook called the doctor for her to get her treatment and left the room. He never returned for the rest of the night, and she was grateful about it. The next day was different. She woke up late. Once she did, her wounds were patched up. One look at the time and it was 6 p.m. She really slept through the entire day. Her stomach rumbled, so she decided to get something to eat until she noticed something. A box beside her on the bed. She grabbed it and opened it up, half knowing what it was about. It was not the first time. A silk dress, matching heels, and a Burberry diamond set with a note. Come down at 7 p.m. If you don't, I'll drag you in whatever condition you are. Ryan rolled her eyes. She entertained him and his parties as a spouse in the past. She was not in the mood for it today. Shoving the box aside, she got up, washed up, and threw an oversized hoodie over her head, which hid her well. In her defense, the hoodie belonged to her husband. Smelled like her husband, looked like her husband's choice. As she reached the stairs, she saw it. Another night, another party. But it was different. The air was different, tense, suffocating. People looked, not so very fake to her today. They were not trying to lick her husband's toes. She chose the corners like always, sneaking into the kitchen and grabbing herself a piece of bread. Once back out, she was cold. She had already planned to ignore him, but even their voice was different. A kind of order which wasn't meant to be rejected, so she turned to find her husband. Everybody looking at her now. Great. While she stood there holding a piece of bread awkwardly. There was it, the group of men who abused her. Did he find them already? They were there, on their knees, shaking like they had already seen the gates of hell. Ryan knew what it was about. He was going to set an example. They messed with something that belonged to him, and now was the time for judgment. To be continued.